All right. Hello, everyone. This is Harriet Westmore with the host and creator of the moreselfdiscovery.com podcast, a podcast where we talk about various topics with the hope to discover yourselves within the topics that we are discussing. We're going to have a good show today. So I want you guys to stay tuned and I want you guys to participate. Okay. So just stay tuned. Here we go. All right, here we are. So again, welcome to moreselfdiscovery.com. Um, I don't see anybody in right now. I can see whoever's come in. Whenever you guys, anybody is tuning in, I want you to hit that like and I hit that share button on your Facebook. And I want you to share the video and also identify yourself in the chat. We have a special treat today, and we have Miss Deborah Bryson. She is a color code trainer, and it's interesting because this is a personality, is a coach who specializes in your personality based on color code. So it's going to be an interesting chat. Actually took the personality test, so I'm going to share with you what my color is after we talk with Miss Bryson about the dynamics of what is color code trainer. So, Miss Deborah, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a part of my podcast today.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It's, exciting and I'm, anxious to, kind of talk about the color code because it is fun and you learn a lot, once you take the personality assessment.
Okay, so tell us a bit about yourself and how did you get involved in color code personality assessment or test?
Okay, it's a funny story, kind of. So my background is human resources, and
Mm-hmm.
probably around 2012, 2013, the company I worked for hired a new HR director. So I had a new person that I was reporting to.
Uh-huh.
She introduced us to the color code as a way to, build bonds and have a team builder. So when she sent us the link to the color code, I said, "OMG, are you kidding me? Another personality test? Okay, we've done Myers Briggs and we've done this and
Right.
we've done that, and are you kidding me?" Okay,
Right.
so wasn't really happy about it. So I went to my desk and banged out the link on the computer and banged out the answers to my questions and got the results, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, wow, this one is more accurate than anyone I've ever taken."
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because it's looking at your core motives, your innate personality. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there are probably 30 to 40 questions. Each question you have to answer, you know, with an answer that is as close to what you've experienced either in elementary school, middle
Mm-hmm.
school, high school. So the questions are designed, that way to determine, how your personality developed over time based on what your innate personality is. So that's kind of how I was introduced to the color code. And when I got my results and they were so accurate, I decided, okay, I need to be a trainer.
Okay.
So I became a trainer.
So do you went you utilized the training in your place of employment, or did you
Um,
branch out
we
and
we used it as part of our team builder so that we could understand better how to communicate with each other as coworkers because there were
okay.
11 of us in HR as business partners and then our director. So, 12 total people. So we used it to learn, how to better work together. Right. And
Okay.
also, once we were able to identify, the aspects of each color, it was easier for you, to work with the people that you supported, from an HR
Mhm.
perspective, because you could kind of, guess, what their color was, whether it was,
Mhm.
and there are four, by the way, four colors: red, white, yellow, and blue. The white personality is non-controlling. The yellow personality is non-controlling. The blue and reds are controlling, but for different reasons. Um, the red personalities tend to, you know, be a power color, where the blues are more intimate, your whites are non-confrontational, and your yellows are your fun-loving. So what's really strange is that my results were really three colors: red, white, and blue.
Oh wow.
So, yeah. So from a percentage perspective, my blue is almost 34%, my white
Uh-huh.
is 31%, and my red is 27.
Oh
My yellow
wow.
and my yellow is like 6.5.
Oh wow. Okay.
So less yellow than anything else, but blue, white, and red are my three, and they're all fairly dominant. And I'm gonna probably guess that it's just because of the line of work that I'm in, and then of course
Mm-hmm.
being a coach, and then of course we have a large family. We have six people in our household. So
Mm-hmm.
of the six people, let me tell you what the color breakdown is. We have three reds, we have one blue, one white, and one yellow.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
that's the combination, in our household from personality colors. So
Wow. So tell us how once you and your team are at work, figure out what your colors are, how did you implement after the team building, how did you guys formulate a way to work, effectively together with the different personalities?
okay, so from a team perspective, we shared our profiles with each other
Okay.
so that we knew. So for instance, let's say you and I are coworkers. You're blue, I'm blue, so we're going to be, probably mesh really well and work really well together because of similarities of
Mm-hmm.
personality. Now,
Mm-hmm.
let's say that you're working with a red and you're blue. That's going to present an issue because of the controlling personalities. So,
Mm-hmm.
so your blue is trying to control things from a more intimate perspective, and your red is trying to control things from a more power perspective. So, let's just talk about what not to do with the red and what not to do with the blue, since we're talking
Okay.
about how those two colors would work together. So, if you're dealing with a red personality, you don't want to embarrass them in front of others. You don't want to argue from an emotional perspective. You don't want to use an authoritative approach. You don't want to use physical punishment. And we'll use that, let's say you had a child that was a red personality, you would not want to use physical punishment.
Okay.
Um, with a red personality, you don't want to be slow and indecisive. You don't want to expect a personal and intimate relationship with a red. You don't want to attack them personally. You don't want to wait for them to solicit your opinion. You don't take their arguments personally, and don't demand constant social interaction. So that's what you don't want to do with a red. Okay.
Oh wow.
So let's talk about blue, because I believe you told me your personality, your dominant color is blue. Is that
I am
correct?
a blue, yes.
Okay. And what was your secondary color, or did you?
It is. It didn't. I think the secondary color was like a white.
It's
I think it
white.
was white. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So so with blues, you don't want to make them feel guilty. You don't want to be rude or abrupt. You don't want to don't promote too much change. Don't expect spontaneity. Don't abandon them. Don't expect them to bounce back easily or quickly from depression or sadness. Don't demand
Mm.
perfection. Don't push them into making quick decisions. Don't
Mm.
don't expect them to forgive quickly when crossed, and don't demand immediate action or quick verbal bantering. Those are things that you shouldn't do with a blue. So we focused on the blue and the red, and we had similar things that you don't want to do, with the yellow and whites also.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about what you do want to do with a red and with a blue.
Okay.
Okay. So with a red personality, you want to prepare yourself with facts and figures, present ideas logically, be direct, be brief, and be specific. Articulate your feelings clearly, demand, um, do demand attention and respect from a red. Support their leadership instincts, build on the logic of their arguments, and offer them leadership responsibilities. So, um, in a team environment, or in an environment where we're supporting others.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we're supporting managers or frontline employees, that kind of thing. So you kind of, like I stated, once you have taken the assessment, and if you have utilized the comprehensive analysis that you received, it really does give you insight into people. So you'll have insight into your friends, to your family, your coworkers,
Right.
maybe even people
Right.
that you meet, on the street. You can guess
Mm-hmm.
based on, um, how they handle themselves or how they conduct themselves or present themselves. You really have a good idea of what their dominant color is or what their core motive is.
Mm-hmm.
And like I stated, core motive is based on your innate personality, and that innate means that you were born with it, and it gets developed and it gets changed and shaped over time. So many things, influence, our personality, your upbringing,
Right.
your community, everything. And
Mm-hmm.
and especially, for us, we're operating, a lot from a trauma perspective, just based on, historical facts and data, and that we're living in that defensive mode every single day. So it kind of helps, to eliminate or to identify some of those things when you take the time, and if you're open to believing that the information is accurate. If you answer the question accurately and truthfully, most
Mm-hmm.
likely it's going to give you a really good profile, but you have to be open to it.
Right.
You have to believe it, and you would have to really truly want to use it, in your relationships.
Wow. I mean, what you've said, it really hit the nail on the head, especially for my color. It was, predominantly blue and the white. And I can, immediately when you were describing what not to do with reds and what to do with reds, I'm immediately thinking about somebody, in the family that I know, I could automatically, like you said, you can pretty much pinpoint
Right,
what color they are.
right, right. You just do. I mean, once like I said, once you go through that comprehensive analysis, even the basic
Mm-hmm.
analysis will give you enough insight. So we didn't talk about what to do with blues. So let's do
Mm-hmm.
that. Okay.
Okay.
So with blues, you want to allow blues to collect their thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Take a sensitive approach with blues. Demonstrate your sincerity. Limit their perceived exposure to risk. So if a blue thinks they're going to be at risk, then they're not probably going to be
Right.
cooperative.
Yep.
Help them feel secure in the relationship. Promote their creative efforts and ambitions. Appreciate them. Be loyal. Do a thorough analysis and present with all details. You want to do that with
Wow.
blues?
Wow. That's me. That's me. Wow. So talk about, is there a as far as gender based, do you find that on the average males are more the red, or women are more, or it doesn't matter at all as far as gender wise?
It doesn't matter at all gender wise. If you answered those questions honestly and truthfully, then
Mm-hmm.
they're going to give you a good picture of your profile. So, from a general population perspective, including all cultures, and I'm going to say all genders,
Mm-hmm.
about 25% are going to be red, about 35% blue, 20% yellow, and 20% white. That
Wow.
is general population in each culture.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So I'm trying to, because there's so many questions. I mean, because it is a very accurate assessment. Um, how can we, on our personal, now you talked about the as far as working with our coworkers. Now, our families and friends, they're more intimate. And so how do we, correlate, now that we know what our colors are? Like I'm a blue. How can I, and you told me what not to do as far as dealing with someone with a red. And so, and if there are family members or whatever, I mean, do you find it that it's a little more difficult for
It
family? I mean, to, once you recognize what you are. So,
So yeah, it is. It's difficult because you would truly need to have buy-in from the people in your family to use this
mm-hmm,
as a tool to better communicate. So you would
mm-hmm,
really have to be in a position where all of you have identified that you need to improve your relationship, um, and you have to want to improve your relationship, and you
mm-hmm.
have to want a tool to help you improve your relationship, and then you have to be open to using the information that you find in the tool. That is, if you wanted everyone to take the assessment so that you're
Mm-hmm.
clear on what is the dominant personality and what is or what's the dominant color and what's the secondary
Right,
color. Now,
right.
let's say that you don't have that level of buy-in, and you're the only
Mm-hmm.
person with the level of knowledge or information or experience with the color code, then you certainly, want to try to explain it in terms that they would understand based on what you perceive,
Mm-hmm.
their dominant color to be, right? So I guess a real life example would be um, trying to communicate with a white personality.
Mm-hmm.
It is difficult for a red and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes even a blue personality, because with a white personality, you don't want to be cruel or insensitive. You
Mm-hmm.
don't you don't want them to expect to need much social interaction. You don't want to force immediate verbal expression. You don't want to be domineering or too intense. You don't want to demand conformity to unrealistic expectations. And those unrealistic expectations would be expectations that they deem unrealistic, because
Mm-hmm.
blue, red, yellow may not deem those unrealistic.
Right.
So you got to kind of, I guess, perceive, or are they going to think that the expectations are unrealistic? You don't want to overwhelm them with too much at once. You don't want to force confrontation or rush communication or take away their daydreams or demand leadership. So
Mm-hmm.
let's let's say, you have someone who needs to take the lead in a certain situation,
Mm-hmm.
um, or you would want them to take the lead in a certain situation, and it's possible that they just don't have an interest in doing so, and
Right.
you can't force that. And so
Right.
if you kind of know, those things, or perceive those things about, the person that you're trying to communicate with, then you kind of know not to do that, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So back to as your role in HR, when you're looking at applicants, can you? I mean, I know that's kind of discriminatory. That's considered discriminatory.
Well, you don't want to make any assumptions at all, and
Right.
so it truly isn't designed to be used in that setting, like in an
Okay.
interview and selection setting. Not designed for that at all.
Uh huh.
It's more designed for team building and learning
Mm-hmm.
how to communicate, or how, okay, or if you're coaching an employee, you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's something out there called How I Like to Be Coached, and you could utilize the information that they give you, and also, let them take the personality assessment so that everybody, you're both on the same page, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm a dominant red personality and my supervisor is a white personality, okay, then we already know that we're going to have some kind of tool to use
Right.
to help us to be able to communicate, because not we're not on the same page,
Mm-hmm.
so to
Right.
speak. So
So as like if a supervisor notices that their staff or this their employee is struggling in a certain area, or they're not getting along with another employee, is it can the company steps in and try to, is that something that like a program where you take this type of test and they can work with, as a team building way of working together collectively.
So a director, supervisor, manager, someone, in that capacity, if they're
Mm-hmm.
familiar with the color code, certainly, could say, okay, is it okay, company, if we utilize this tool to, create a basis of understanding, or a benchmark, so that we kind of know,
Mm-hmm.
how to manage, this group of employees or this particular employee. I mean, certainly
Mm-hmm.
that those options are out there. You just have to be sure that from a company perspective that, it's acceptable,
Mm-hmm.
that you're not doing anything, that would be discriminatory or anything like that.
Right.
And in addition, you would need to, ensure, once you're um, introducing it to the team, what I've discovered over time since
Mhm.
2014, I think I've been certified since 2014. What I've discovered over time is that some of the questions can be triggering. So you
Mm.
may have people who will get, through the assessment, maybe not able to answer all of the questions, or maybe not able to finish the assessment at all, just because some of the
Mhm.
questions are triggering. Okay, and
Mm.
this ponytail is crooked or something. Sorry, I think it's the headset. Okay. Oh.
Wow. So I mean, I didn't realize that, because I know, and it makes sense because a lot of the questions that, when I was answering it, and it specifically says as a child,
Mm-hmm.
it did kind of trigger, I remember, certain incidents, since incidents, and how I felt at that time, so I
Mm-hmm.
can understand how it can trigger. And but I mean, but like you said, when you tell the truth, it kind of, I mean, it's right there, and it is
Exactly.
very accurate,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like, wow. This
So
is.
yeah, so the questions asked and the design of the personality assessment tells you why you do the
Mm-hmm.
things that you do. It
Mm-hmm.
looks at your behaviors, and tells
Mm-hmm.
you why you do the things you do, and that's how it differs, from some other personality tests, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And
Wow.
I think it's simplistic. You're blue, you're red, you're white, you're yellow. There's four colors, and they're pretty well defined.
It
So
is. And I was getting ready to say that it is. I mean, once I read, the definition and what that represents, I mean, it was head on, dead on, right on the money. So, um, are you do this? I mean, as a side, are you coaching? Do you take clients, or how can if people are interested in wanting to learn about themselves through the personality test, how would
okay.
they be able to do that?
Right. Okay. So I have a link to the personality assessment. It's a basic analysis. It's going to give you your primary color. It's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily going to give you
Oops.
your secondary color, but you do have the
Okay.
option. You have the option of electing the comprehensive analysis. The comprehensive analysis is it's about 37 pages, and it breaks it all down for you. I mean, literally, that's the portion that I use from a coaching perspective. If I'm doing one-on-one coaching, then we
Mm-hmm.
use that the comprehensive analysis. I mean, really, if a person said, "Hey, Deborah, I appreciate the offer, to coach me, but I think I can take this myself." You really can self coach yourself with the comprehensive analysis. But
Okay.
it's better though if you have someone to talk it through with,
Right.
right? Even
Right.
someone who may be an opposite personality, so you get that real life practice with
Mm-hmm.
that whole communication piece, because at the end of the day, I mean, our entire life is about relationships, right?
Right.
Relationships with
Right.
your coworkers, your family, your friends,
Right.
even new relationships, old relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Your whole life is about relationships, and if you're not an expert on communication, then sometimes you need some help, right? And you don't
Right.
have to tell everybody, "Oh, I took this personality assessment, I know how to
Mm-hmm.
communicate." No, that's
Mm-hmm.
not it at all. It's designed so that you get to know yourself a little bit better. You have educated perceptions about the other people that you're interacting with on a regular basis, because you spend
Mm-hmm.
enough time with a coworker or a family member that you're going to be able to say, "Oh, okay, I see. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably it's a dominant red color or a dominant blue or a dominant white or a dominant yellow." You kind of
Mm-hmm.
have that tool to help you communicate it.
Wonderful, wonderful. I went ahead and post the link in the chat, and what I'll
Thank you.
do, I'll also post it in the show notes. So
Okay.
once we are off air, we'll have people will still have access to it.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
any other tidbits about the color code that you would like to share with us before we close?
Yeah, I would like to talk about the limitations and the
Okay.
strength and what we're strong at for each color.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
each color has a strength or a number of strengths, and each color has limitations. So, I'd like to talk about those, and
Absolutely.
we'll start
Okay.
with blue. Okay,
Okay.
so the blue personalities tend to be sincere, intuitive, caring, respectful, dependable, deliberate, but their limitations are that they're emotionally intense, self righteous, a perfectionist, suspicious, worry.
Mm-hmm.
They worry a lot. They're self critical, overly sensitive, may have low self esteem, and may have unrealistic expectations. So,
Mm.
as I'm going through that list, please understand I'm not saying that these are all inclusive, or
Mm-hmm.
that they're 100% true for every single person, whose primary color may be blue, because truly, I mean, we're all a combination of all the colors. These just tend to be the traits that tend to stand out the most with a true blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the red personality and their strengths and their limitations. So,
Okay.
your red personalities tend to be pragmatic, decisive, action oriented, and responsible. But their limitations are that they think they're always right, and they're demanding and argumentative. Now, so from a personal perspective, I get that a lot.
Okay.
That you're so demanding, or you're argumentative, or you
Uh-huh.
know you, you're not always right. Okay, And I understand that, but
Mhm.
that's my presentation, and that's the perception. So I guess those limitations, can be accurate for some.
Mhm.
What you don't hear is, oh, you're pragmatic, you're decisive, you're
Right.
action-oriented, you're responsive. You don't hear
Right.
that. You just
Right.
hear
You
about
always
the
hear the limitation.
right. You only hear about the negative, right?
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, from a white perspective, your white personalities tend to be centered. They have a clear perspective. They're non-discriminate, and they're a good listener. Now, their
Mm.
limitations are that they're boring and timid. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that
Mhm. Mhm.
and then your yellows, their strengths are being insightful, and their
Mhm.
limitations are being impulsive.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
short list for your yellow.
Right.
Your white has a short list, but your blues and reds tend to have,
They're the most complicated or
right, exactly, exactly.
wow.
And I think it's just because of their controlling nature, you know,
Mhm.
but controlling for different reasons. So
Mhm. Wow. So yellow, I don't think we talked too much about yellow. Yellow is
we
the
can.
okay, is are they like the life of the party? They like fun and just
They
whatever
are,
goes, they whatever
yeah.
the wind blows, I mean they're just gonna go with the flow.
Your let me grab my notes right here real quick.
Okay.
I'm more comfortable with the blue and red, and because that's what I am, blue, red, and white. But yellow, not so much. Okay, so
Mhm.
your yellow, what you want to do with a yellow personality is take a positive, upbeat approach, offer praise and appreciation, accept that they're going to be playful and teasing, recognize the value of their participation, encourage their verbal self expression, reinforce trust with appropriate gestures, remember they are more sensitive than they appear, value their social interaction skills and people connections, so they're your social butterfly,
Mhm.
and promote creativity and fun activities for your yellow personality.
Hmm.
That's what you
Okay.
do. Now,
Okay.
how about what we don't do with the yellow? You don't want to be too serious or too sober in any criticism. You don't want to push them too intensely. You don't want to forget that they also have downtime, social butterfly,
Mhm.
but they have downtime also.
Mhm.
Don't demand perfection. Don't ignore them. Don't expect them to dwell on problems. So your blue personality is going to work that thing to the bone, right? But don't
Right.
expect that from a yellow personality. Don't give them too much rope or they might hang themselves. Don't classify them as just lightweights because that would be inaccurate. Um,
Mhm.
don't attack their sensitivity or be unforgiving. And don't control their schedules or consume their time. That's your yellow.
Wow. Wow. Okay. They can be fun, but
Right. You don't want to underestimate a yellow.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with them, you mentioned, they don't like to, be, so serious all the time. Would that be
Mhm.
a conflict with blue and red? Because
Not really, because
not really.
your white and yellow personalities are not controlling personalities, where your
Okay.
blue and reds are controlling personalities. So
Hmm.
you don't have that tug of war going on. So if you
Okay.
have, a red and a blue, both with controlling personalities, you're going to have a tug of war, right? But not
Hmm.
not necessarily so with um, a white or yellow being,
Okay.
you know, as compared to a blue or red.
Right.
So they are
Right.
more, could be more compatible just because they're opposites and not controlling.
Hmm. Wow. Well, this has been very interesting and very eye-opening. And I know people are going to definitely want to participate in the test, and to be true for yourself. I mean, it's worth, every bit of, learning about yourself and kind of understanding, well, this is why I feel this way or do this way because of this, and this.
Right. I mean, it's
So,
truly about self discovery. More than anything, it's about self
hmm.
discovery because once you're able to identify why you do the things you do, why you say the things you say, why do you act the way you act, why do you walk the way you walk, whatever.
Hmm.
Once you truly commit to that self discovery, and again, like I said, and answer the questions honestly and truthfully, and be open to believing what the profile is revealing to you, and
Hmm.
truly recognizing that they're, well, okay, yeah, I can check this off and this off and this off. Okay, that it really is about you. You
Hmm.
once you have done your self assessment, and you have a relationship that you want to work on, then you can use those tools to do so. And it's a fun little thing,
Yeah, it is. It
with
is.
powerful information. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Miss Deborah, I really appreciate, your insight and your, wisdom on the color code. What is the color code personality test? I've learned a lot. Like I said, I encourage everybody to, just take a look at yourself, be honest with yourself, and you'll discover, you know, who you are and why you do the things you do, and
Yeah.
it also helps you to, have a friend do it with you, with your spouse,
Yes.
or with a,
Right.
co-worker or whatever,
Yes.
and then you guys will both know, your each other's personality and traits, and like you said, it'll open the door to better communication because you know
Mhm.
how they are, what their triggers are,
Right.
what you shouldn't do, and how you
Right.
approach.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I really appreciate this.
Mm.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
Any final words?
No, I encourage everyone, just, if you're curious, just take the basic analysis and see if it's true for you. If it's true for you, then you have the option, to elect the comprehensive analysis. And once you receive that, you can use that, like I stated, just for your own self discovery, or you
Mhm.
can use it, in, how learning how to communicate with others. Like I stated, coworkers, friends, family, what have you. It's up to you how you use that information. But at the end of the day, we can't really, you know, I guess, expect something from others until we recognize, how we're presenting and why we're doing that. So
Right.
we can't ask someone else, okay, I can't say, Harry, why do you act that way? I don't understand.
Mhm.
But,
Mhm.
if I've done my own self discovery, then maybe I can better understand that and I can make a recommendation maybe. But, it just,
Absolutely.
you have to be open and it's something you have to want to do.
Right.
So,
Right. All right. Thank you again. And one
all
more
right.
thing. Side note: have you tried the Colorasi wine?
I have not
Okay.
yet, but I will. I have I have not, but I do plan to as soon as possible. I have I have a tremendous amount of One Hope wine, so I'm
Oh, okay.
all the different brands. I got a red
Right.
blend and a Chardonnay and a this and a that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so next time we're gonna talk about that.
Okay. That's another show, people.
That's
All
another
right.
show. All
All
right.
right. You take care
Okay.
of yourself.
Okay.
Stay
Thank
cool,
you.
and
All
I'll
right.
talk
You
to you
too.
soon.
All
All right.
right.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.